Hello, everyone. It is the first Thursday of the month, and I have vowed over the last, let's give it at least 4 years, to go live every first Thursday of the month because our BFFs also meet every first Thursday of the month at 6 o'clock Pacific time. So I try to come on at 5:30 Pacific time to give you guys a little bit of what we get going on in the BFFs. So the BFFs are currently writing a screenplay from literal idea to script. And what is this, August? So they will have a full script by, I want to say November. So they have been holding on in there. We have been doing some really good work. The story experts meet with them 3 times a month and they get it done. So hopefully you guys are writing. You know, I'm writing right now. And I'm just going to tell on myself because I believe in honesty. I have not written since maybe the middle of last week. I have been totally busy. Most of the time on live talking to y'all. So I have to figure out a new schedule. I am starting to teach every Saturday in September. I have lives every Sunday in September. And I have a gig, contract right now that keeps me busy during the day. So I actually do not get a whole lot of time to the professional pen or to writing. So I'm trying to balance it all. And right now I'm failing. But I finished my outline and now I am just waiting to start my script. But today, it's nighttime for some of y'all. Tonight, if you can't tell, the sun is still out here in Los Angeles. Tonight, we are talking to the man himself. And I see that he's here. So hopefully you guys have looked him up a little bit. So I'm going to see if I can let you in. Sometimes it likes to act up, but I am going to invite you. Okay. Oh, it already says that you've requested. So let's see if it's going to let me do it. No, it's saying I can't invite you. I wonder why. It doesn't give me that option. Can you request to be in my video? Gui? Push that camera button at the bottom and see if it allows you to join, because it's grayed out for me to invite you. All right, y'all. Y'all know how Instagram has been treating me lately. It says I have no requests. It's been treating me terribly lately. It used to not be this hard. I used to come on, push the button, and they'd be in. And now it's like, is it gonna happen? Is Instagram gonna let them in? All right, he sent a request. Fingers crossed that when I push accept, something actually happened. A sound. Hopefully that means it's going to let him in. But hey, y'all, hey, those of you who are here and excited to join us today, you can drop in the comments, let us know where you are in the world right now. Uh-oh, I didn't let him in. Let's try again. It made a sound when I added you. There has got to be something that we can do differently here, because this is the 3rd time this has happened. So it's obviously on my end, but I don't know why. I'm pushing accept. I'm accepting you, and it's not doing anything. Okay, Guy, try going out and coming back and requesting again, please. All right, we got Houston in the building. It says you're unable to join. Maybe that's because you left. Hopefully that's what that means. We got Houston in the building. We got Chicago in the building. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am from Houston. I have spent some time in Chicago performing. Got Indianapolis in the building. The Ivory Coast. What's up? Oh, awesome. Huge fan of Guy. Okay, we're going to try this again. He's in He's in here requesting. We're going to try it again. Come on, work with us. Instagram. Yes.
Yeah, there we go. It worked.
Yes.
It finally
I don't know what's up with this thing. Every single time the person has had to go out and come back and do it again.
That's technology for you. It never wants to work when you want it to work.
But isn't that what technology is for? It's supposed to make my life easier.
Yeah, but we watched Terminator. We know what
We
happens.
know what happened. Well, I am so excited to have you here. I have not seen you in person since 2021,
Yeah, I think it's 2021, like right after COVID.
right after COVID, because we probably shouldn't have been at that party anyway,
No, we should not have been.
because it was, germs and stuff still.
All that good stuff. All that good
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, thank you so much for being here with me today. So, just for everybody to get some background information on how we got here, he's always been doing his thing, but I don't know if you started doing more interviewing or if you just started doing more posting.
More posting.
Because all of a sudden I was like, he would be a great person to talk to. Instead, I was just kind of like admiring from afar.
Yeah.
But then I was like, oh my God, this would be something great. Because for those who don't know, those of you who are coming from Guy's channel and not mine, the Professional Pen works with screenwriters from I Did a Pitch. And so we try to create well-rounded screenwriters who really understand all aspects of screenwriting, because then that will inform their writing, right?
Yeah.
So as I was watching you, obviously you're usually talking about like the physical parts that you're doing.
Right.
But as a stunt man, as a choreographer, you are also an actor. And as a choreographer, you work very closely with the director and anybody else
Yeah.
on the set, which means there's a script in your hand at some
All
point, which means you're breaking down a script and you're trying to figure out how to make these action scenes and these fight scenes that the writers are writing come to life. So I was like, oh my God, we definitely have to hear your point of view. I have never heard this point of view before, so I'm going to be learning with everybody else along the way. But before we go there, we have to ask this question I ask everybody when they come on is what the F, how the F, why the F did you decide to join this industry of all industries, this unstable, this crazy thing that is grind, 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 try, fail, fail, fail. How did you get here? Give us your backstory.
uh, uh yikes. Just like most of us, I'm a glutton for punishment. Uh I guess I enjoy people telling me no
Yeah.
because I keep coming back. I got into it because my mom was a performer.
Okay.
I'm 4 generations down the line on my mom's side. Her mom, her grandmother. So that's always been kind of around. I've always been around it. My mother was in Broadway shows, and she's also in movies, Spike Lee movies. So like, I kind of always had that part of me there, and always was, had that part of the culture in me. I guess I always wanted to be a performer. I figured it out that that's what I was going to do. I wasn't going to do anything else. Probably like my sophomore year of high school. I
Okay.
was like, everything else is useless. I started not caring about school because I was like, I don't need school to do what I want to do. So I became the bad kid, I guess, to some people. Um,
It worked out. It
that's kind of
worked out.
it kind of just like fell into, like, it just all ended up falling into place, like I was a dancer at first. I danced behind artists like Chris Brown, Little Mama. For those that know this very obscure Harlem song, Aunt Jackie, but I was dancing behind Jason Foxx at one point as I was coming up, and I was a part of a contemporary dance company as well. My junior year of high school. This was my junior year of high school. I started like really branching out and doing more shows. I'd always been on stage since the age of 7. Moved to Los Angeles at the age of 19. Was dancing. I was always a martial artist growing up. Wanted to be Bruce Lee. Somebody introduced me to scream fighting, and then they were like, "You should try to do this thing." And lo and behold, I said, "All right, I'll go for it." And
All right.
I
So I'm
went
gonna take
for it.
it back a little bit. We have this dance thing in common. So,
Mhm.
but obviously you are a man or slash was a boy at the time. What was it like being in dance at that time? What made you so confident? Was it because you had come from this line of performers? So for you, it was just like, this is performing. I don't really care what other people think. Did you have any kind of negativity around you when it came to you wanting to be a dancer? And then how did you go from being in high school wanting to be a dancer to being behind Chris Brown? Like, don't skip it. Like, let us know how you got there.
uh, shoot, what did I do? So I always had my mom's support because she didn't have support. So she,
Hmm.
as a coping mechanism for her not having support when she was coming up, she decided that she was going to support me in everything I did, no matter what.
Yeah.
Of course, there was some negativity. There was the typical black parent being like, "You either got to go to school or you get a job." Uh, and luckily, every time she brought that up or said that line, I would get a check from like some weird little dance gig I did or dance battle that I was a part of. So she was just like, whatever. She rolled her eyes, which is great. Shout out to my mom.
Yeah.
I got into dancing with Chris. We were related. We're cousins.
Hmm.
Um, my nickname growing up was always Karate Kid. Uh, hence all the martial arts stuff. And I was the one that did like was doing all the flips and stuff, and Chris liked doing flips, so I started showing him stuff. I got into martial arts tricking, which was going through its like I want to say its mainstream boom at the time with
Hmm.
movies like
Hmm.
Step Up and Tron Legacy showing these off-axis flips and twists
Yeah.
in their films. And luckily, I was a part of the first group of guys that came into Hollywood or came into the entertainment world with those skills.
Yeah.
And I remember we were doing a music video for Chris. I think it was the first music video I did for him was "I Can Transform You,"
Hmm.
and it was just because I was in Los Angeles on just like I want to go to Los Angeles and see what it's about, and I was supposed to be there for 2 weeks. I ended up being there for 2 months. Chris was having his music video. I jumped in.
He's like, yeah,
We
just come through and do some
yeah,
flips. Just come through.
was like, just come through, just come do something, get a check. I was like, okay, fine.
All right.
And we choreographed a
Absolutely.
little nunchuck thing together, and then the rest is history. In that sense, he called me back again for another music video that he was doing for like some sort of charity or thing like that. It was called Matrix. It was like
Hmm.
his rock song. And he asked me to like bring some guys together and make like a fight scene for him to do, and we're supposed to be paparazzi chasing him and all stuff like that. And I remember us being in his trailer, and I was like, "Man, you should let me dance for you. Like, stop playing, let me dance for you." He was like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah, let me dance for you." And it took about like 6 months, and I got a phone call while I was in Boston dancing in my mentor Doug Elkin's dance company. We were doing like a little stint at Boston College, where we taught class, and then we also were running this show called Fraulein Maria. And he called me while I was in the bathroom and was like, "Yo, I want you to come out and do Yeah 3 times, and I want you to become my dancer because I'm about to start touring again." And I was like, "Well, I can't do Yeah 3 times because I'm currently shooting a show in Boston." And he's like, "Cool, no worries. When you're done, come out." And I was already set to move to Los Angeles with in a 2 bedroom with 5 guys. How we all fit in there, I don't know. Mind you, we added people as we went along,
Absolutely.
and that's kind of that's kind of how I ended up dancing behind Chris. That's the story
Yeah.
that leads up to me dancing behind Chris.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that. So the two things I'm going to pull from that are because a lot of the people who follow me are people who are already in another career, right?
Mhm.
Who want to transition into writing.
Right.
Maybe they don't want to write, maybe they want to produce, maybe they don't want to direct, maybe they don't know, right? They're trying to transition.
Right.
And they're often, thinking that they're at a disadvantage. But what I want them to hear from you is it was a skill that you weren't even thinking was going to be your access
Oh yeah.
into Hollywood, like just being yourself and enjoying these other things. That's what made you right for the role.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
It,
These other things that you knew how to do, these other things that we don't even think about putting on our resume, but like those are the unique things that make people go, "Oh, I need you specifically for
oh
this
yeah.
thing because you have that skill."
Yep. There's so many adapted skills too that you like underlying abilities. I'm a nerd, so I think of like video game or RPG where you have like these passive skills that just become activated because you did a certain mission, right? So
Hmm.
my transition into Hollywood was, I would say, it moved faster than a majority of people who just come from a ground zero because I had a
Yeah.
whole bunch of other tools that deemed useful that I procured in the past career, right?
Yeah.
So being a dancer, especially for like an artist like Chris Brown, going on tour and stuff like that, picking up choreography was a big thing, and picking up
Hmm.
choreography fast, and then having
Yeah.
to make changes to that choreography and take
Yeah.
notes and
Right
do
before
all
the
that kind of
show.
stuff.
Yeah.
Right, and then being able to do that, like most people don't know, but when it comes to music videos, the artist is always late, and it always shoots way later than you were
Absolutely.
expecting. So it's also teaching you like how to sit on set, how to like keep your energy up, so on and so forth,
Yeah.
and all those things bled into my ability to perform as a stunt performer in Hollywood, and made me kind of, I don't want to say I'm a commodity, but made me a sought after
Yeah.
piece of talent,
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
that's kind of like you never know what your abilities that you gained from the past career or job
Yeah.
is going to be able to bleed into the next thing, because then you're not really starting at ground zero,
No.
right? I also come from a big martial arts background, right? And there's plenty of martial arts that show you how to punch, show you how to kick, right? And you start off doing taekwondo, but then you go off and do karate. Now their punch and kick might be a little different, or their reasoning behind the punch and kick might be different. However, your body mechanics are already kind of there. It just has to make adaptations. So if you're able to adapt, then you're in the clear because you already have that year of experience doing taekwondo that
Right.
you're able to now put into your karate. And it's
Hmm.
the same exact with my dancing into my stunts, and then my stunts into my acting,
Yeah.
and I use the skills to leapfrog into the next thing that I'm trying to get into.
And those are the words. That's exactly what I was going to say, because what happens as creatives is we always talk about how Hollywood will put us in a box, but we often put ourselves in a box,
Hmm.
right? And I don't even mean the box of skills that we have, but the box of the thing that we want to be. So we feel like we shouldn't do anything else but that thing,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So, like, well, I want to be a writer, so why should I be PAing on a set? Or I want to be an actor, so why should I be in dance class? You know what
Right.
I'm saying? But you just never know which path is going to take you where you need to go. And like we said before, it's those extra skills that have nothing to do with your acting and nothing to do with your writing that's going to get you hired,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So for writers out there, when you're applying for fellowships and when you are in interviews with showrunners, they want to know about all of that other stuff. Because if they're looking for that expert on their staff, right? Like, for example, if it's Abbott Elementary, somebody on that writing staff has worked in an elementary school. It's
Right.
not about their writing. You know what I mean? Like, sure, they're good writers. Put that part to the side. But you actually worked in an elementary school, or you actually worked in an underserved school,
Right.
something, from your past that can transition to help you get where you need to go. And then the second thing I wanted to pull out of that was that transition to LA. Now, luckily, you were a little younger when you
Yeah.
did it, but talk about the whole, there are 15 of us staying in staying in this one place. Look, you got to do what you got to do. It's a little harder when you're a little older, but
Yeah. I mean, rent was nice and cheap then too, and it was even nicer. Yeah, a group of us, we were all linked from martial arts, so it wasn't a bunch of strangers,
Mhm.
thank goodness. And we were like, hey, like, let's just get a place and we'll figure it out from there. At first, it was five of us, because one of our friends, his girlfriend, and him got into it, so he was living with us too. And then my boy's fiance decided she was moving in too, and I was on a couch if I was staying there, or else I was on tour.
Yeah,
And luckily I had a little bit of space, uh, thanks to Chris. He was like,
yeah,
"Hey, I I don't want you sleeping on the couch. You can stay at this hotel where I'm staying at."
yeah,
And
yeah,
then he gave me a room, and that was very helpful.
yeah,
But that transition, boy, woo, that transition. It's a culture. It was a culture shock for me,
yeah,
being that I'm 19 years old. I'm from New York City. Uh, don't know how to drive. don't have a driver's license, moving to California, and everything is driving. You have to get
Yeah.
everywhere driving. So I was just in the back seat of everybody's car for a good
Mm.
solid like
Which made you
2 years,
dependent
3 years.
on them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh, and that kind of sucks, but you make do with what you can.
Yeah.
You share a bed when you can. It was just like you make it happen. It was
Yeah.
one of those things where it was like, luckily I'm 19 years old. Everybody else around me is like 18, 19 to 22 years old, 23 years old, and it's just like, we're all out here trying to make it happen. So we're gonna make the sacrifices of comfort,
Yeah.
in order to reach our dreams or our goals. And surprisingly, every person in that apartment complex that we were connected with, they are all super successful. It's
Yeah.
pretty awesome. It's a cool story.
That
It's
is
a really cool story.
great. And you need that village. And that's what Issa Rae is always talking about when she's saying network across, right?
Yeah.
It's like, these are the people who are coming up with me, right?
Yeah.
And if I'm in the back seat of their car every time it's time to go somewhere, that means we're all going.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
We all going.
we're all going. We're all figuring this out. And eventually they get into hiring positions and now they're hiring you, or you're bringing them in because, like you said, for one video you did, Chris was like, hey, go get your people,
Yep.
right? Because you know what skill sets you need. And it's going to be easier to work with people you already have this chemistry with than to kind of train and do choreography, place choreography on new people. And so a lot of people don't realize, even when you're doing videos, whether it's dancing or stunting, you're usually going to go to your same go-to people because they know your rhythm,
Right.
right? You know that they know how to come in and just learn and go versus having an audition every single time to
Exactly.
bring in new people.
Mhm.
So with the sleeping arrangement, for those people who haven't done it before, they will put beds in the living
Yep.
room. They will
Yep.
put up those dividers, right? So that you could put multiple beds in the living room. They will have multiple beds in the bedrooms.
Yep.
And so even though it might only be a 2 bedroom place, there could still be 10 people in there because it's kind of like a dorm at
It
that point.
is literally a dorm, and we were spending $200 a month, and I was loving it. I miss those
Right.
days to an extent.
Oh man. Oh man. I lived on a few floors myself, like the actual floor. I was almost in my car one night,
Hmm.
and it was literally a person I knew who knew another person who was like, "Oh no, you can come stay with us. You don't have to stay in your car." I was like, "Oh well, great.
That's love. That's
That would be
love.
great."
I had one of those people reach out and do that for me. Ryan Potter and his mom. Shouts to them, because there was a point where, like, a little bit more down the line in my career, I had gotten one roommate situation, and he found a girl that he fell in love with. He's married to her now, and he ditched me.
Yeah. You're like, you
And
gotta go, bruh. It's
and
about
this
to
is
be
when
me
I
and her.
found out that, like, dancing, I wasn't gonna be able to pay the bills by being just a dancer.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, well, here I go. And luckily, I was sleeping in the car, and my boy was like, yo, come stay at my place. And Ryan and his mom just took care of me for a solid,
Well,
like, month, 2 months. And then I got that one gig that really gave me enough money to put down on a place. And I
yeah.
was good to go from there. The rest
Good. Okay. So
of
you're
it.
kind of getting us there. Um, talk because I know you've done a whole lot of big stuff, and we're eventually going to talk specifically about the script more so than we're going to talk about like what you do on set.
Right.
But tell us about what you felt was your biggest moment or your biggest role or the one that you were the most excited about or the one you learned the most from. Tell us about that.
I mean, the one that I was most excited about is the same one that I learned the most on, and I still carry the lessons with me. Has to be doubling for Black Panther and Captain America: Civil War.
Yeah.
Um, that was a huge learning experience for me. It was my first big run on a major film. I've done like 6 weeks here or there, but I was on that film for a solid like 4 to 8 months.
Ooh,
Um,
come on,
from
paycheck.
prep been to the end. So that was my first big experience, and it was also like the most exciting thing because I wrote on my board a year before that when they announced Black Panther was going to come into the MCU, that I was going to be Black Panther in 2015. And that's one of
He'll
the
do it. Won't he do
that's
it?
that's probably, I
Yay.
don't think I got any more manifestation juice after
Yeah.
that. I used all my manifestation juice on
You
that
used
one.
it all.
But I got that, that the opportunity came. With it came all the hardships of taking that burden of being a stunt double for a big character on a big film. Shit, you learn how you got to work with some people you don't like. You learn who works really hard and what that looks like when they're
Mhm.
working really hard. You learn that no matter what, you're expendable, you know, and because they got to finish the movie. That's
Period.
that's really what it comes down
Yeah.
to. And the reason why I'm there is that way they don't lose the thing that is expendable.
Yeah.
They can't lose Chadwick. They can lose me, and they can put
Hmm.
another somebody in that suit, and they can finish the film. So learning how to navigate my side of the industry. We all have hardships in everybody's lanes in this film world, but there's also just I think there's a different nuance when it comes to stunts because your life is on the line, and
Absolutely.
I have to put my life in the hands of somebody else, and that's like that. That's what I remember. Andy Gill and his brother Jack Gill were talking to me, and they had said like the time that you realize you're a stuntman, the time that you become a stuntman is when you put your life in another man's hands,
Hmm.
i.e. the coordinator or the rigger. And the day that you become a coordinator is the day that a man is put their life into your hands, and you're in charge of making sure that man comes back home, or gets to go
Hmm.
back home. So it was learning. It was all that stuff, all those things. So that was that. To answer your question, it was definitely being Black Panther and Captain America: Civil War for sure.
That's awesome. I mean, I was hoping that was the one so that I didn't have to ask about
Yeah,
it, but uh,
yeah, that's the one for
that's
sure.
the
I
one.
mean,
That's the one.
hopefully, I'm not stuck as the guy that goes around and is like, "Oh, I was Black Panther."
Right.
I don't want to be that guy at 60 years
No,
old doing it. No,
no.
I hope I have more to come after this.
Absolutely. You're not at your top yet. You're not at your peak yet. If for no other reason, because, like you said, you've learned how to make yourself an asset to the set.
Absolutely.
So even if you're not the person in the suit, you will be the person coordinating. You'll be the person choreographing. You'll be the person, like, you're going to be the guy.
Yeah.
We can already see that coming. So then let's move into that then. And you can tell us, I'm sure there's a difference, right, between being the stunt man who reads the script and being the choreographer who reads the
Oh
script.
yeah.
I'm trying to figure out which one I want to hear about first. Let's do choreography because I
Okay.
think that one is just that much more intense,
Right.
right? About what you're taking from the script and having to turn into something. And what I really want people to hear is just like I talk about how you write your script, but the director is the one who gets to bring it to life visually,
Right.
like it's their vision. It's
Yeah.
your story, but it's their vision. And so the same thing is true when it comes to all of the stunts, all of your car crashes, all of your fights, all of your blah, blah, blah. It's like you can get into the nitty gritty in your script if you want, sure. But somebody else is going to read that and decide what's actually best. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
To
Absolutely.
what they can actually do, what's going to be the safest thing to do, and what's
Right.
the best thing to do for where the story is going. So just kind of talk to us about you get the script and then
So
what?
I'll give two different looks at it. The choreographer aspect is, of course, the script is given to us. By that time already, the stunt coordinator has already decided, like, we need this amount of guys for this fight. We need this equipment for this fight. These are the tools, and then the director has an idea maybe of what his moments are. If he doesn't, what the choreographer's job is to do is to make a blueprint of, like, I guess A to B, A B C D, right? Think we're looking at a whiteboard right now. A is the start of the fight. That's our first moment. B is our second moment. C is our third moment. D is our end moment. That's how we finish the fight. Now, in between A and B, there's travel. There's something that's happening there, and that's where the choreography is. The choreography is the
Mm,
glue that pieces the moments
from A
together, right,
to B.
from A to B, right? So that's
Mhm.
our vehicle. We're driving to B right now from A, and that's your punch, kick, punch, punch, kick, punch, kick, right? And then boom, there's that big punch with Thor's hammer, knocks Hulk back. Hulk flies back. He crashes through some trees. He lands. He rolls. There's potentially Thor saying something silly, or another character comes into play. That's your moment, and then you work your way toward you work your way that way, right? This is
Got
just
it.
a process. Some people do it differently,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but the biggest goal for me is when I read the script, I want to see if there's any moments that are created or any points in the story. Did this person get shot? Did this person get stabbed? Did this person get blown through a door? What, or is there a grenade? Is there a MacGuffin? Is there an item? How do we, and then I work my way to that item.
Mm.
We're
Hmm.
so a great example would be Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan's whole premise of the character, we understand his character is he doesn't want to fight. He doesn't want any problems. He just wants to get out, just get out of this whole thing without any violence. But of course, the conflict is then you got all these guys fighting him,
Right.
right? So here's the choreography. But then the moments that are fun is, well, he's outnumbered. We show that he's outnumbered. Well, in order to even the playing field, he uses this improvised weapon. Let's say it's a lamp. He's using a lamp now. That now we show the lamp. That's a moment. Then we show him using the
Hmm.
lamp. That's choreography. To the next moment of him losing the lamp. Then him
Right.
finding another tool, using that tool. And no, that's kind of how me as a choreographer, I try to find my moments, and then I glue those moments with choreography and beats. Because
Yeah.
nobody ever really remembers the choreography. No one remembers in Winter Soldier, for instance. Nobody remembers the hook punch, block, throw with the knife between Winter Soldier and Captain America. They remember the throw and the catch,
Hmm.
right? The knife toss, the knife juggle is what everybody remembers. That's a moment.
Yeah.
So we create a moment sometimes in the choreography itself that's not necessarily a moment in the story, a
Right.
story moment.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Because my question was going to be, when I talk to writers about their action scenes, what I want them to get across is who's winning and who's losing. How
Right,
do we follow these characters emotionally? Because to your
right.
point, the kicks and the punches don't matter. What matters is who's up and who's down.
Down.
You know what I
Right.
mean? Who's winning and who's losing. So if we can get those, in your words, moments, then it really doesn't matter how they get to them, as long as we know by the end of this, Thor is up, bad guy is down.
Right.
Now we're going from there
Exactly.
emotionally. We're going into our new scene with the bad guy trying to figure out how he's going to come back. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Versus it
Yeah.
being like literally line by line of when you punch and when you throw and who falls which way and who falls the other way. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. The one of the coolest things about this side of the industry or this side of the business is the space that can be given in order to tell the story with collaboration,
Mm-hmm.
with not only the stunt performers but also the actors.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Somebody who's really good. Scarlett Johansson is amazing.
She looks like it.
She is such a hard worker. She is like,
Yeah.
I just remember every day that where she wasn't needed on set, she was in the stunt gym working on the choreography and working on the moves, and she would do them. She
Yeah.
would do it on the day. And with that, with us seeing her all the time and seeing what she can and can't do, we were able to tailor her movements and
Mm-hmm.
moments to make it more strengthening for her. Like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
you're really good at throwing this punch. So we're gonna make sure we give you a moment where we as the audience are gonna see you, Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, doing this punch and not the back of her head doing the technique or
Yeah.
some swirly move, you know.
Right.
Uh,
And I'm
and I think
glad you said that because then that's something that you can bring to the director's attention because
right,
now they know we don't need to shoot this from the back. She's got this,
exactly.
right? We've got to make sure we get something that we can actually see her full, you know.
Right. And
Yeah.
because she trained so hard, it looks good when, because the editors, that's the other part. The editors make the movie at the end of the day.
Yeah.
They can
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
can make it look completely different than what we actually shot or gave them.
Mm-hmm.
And having an actor or an actress that is hands-on, like Jamie Foxx, like Scarlett Johansson, like Chris Evans, it just makes the job so much easier because then they're also able to bring character to what they're
Mm-hmm.
doing.
Right.
And that's like the biggest question that always gets asked is, why am I doing this?
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't, if you are unable to answer why you're doing something, rewind and go back and remember what the point of the character, what the point of you being in this situation is for.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where now going into the stunt performer side of reading the script and looking at the action, right? When I'm given the script to read it, I'm honestly just reading it. I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, cool. Like, I know that the choreographer and the coordinator already kind of have an idea of what they want to do. I'm reading it to understand the story and where the character that I'm doubling is going to be at this point of the fight. From that point forward, once we're in the choreography mode, I will, with hope of having collaborative work with the actor that I'm doubling. For instance, we were working on Project Power,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the biggest critiques that I was getting when we did the previs, I literally came in, like I flew in on a Sunday, got right onto set on Monday, shot the previs immediately Monday, Tuesday, flew back to Los Angeles to teach Jamie the fight. So I go, I do the previs, I go to
Before we go
Jamie.
too far, tell us what previs is for those who don't know.
Okay. Previs is a pre-visualization. There's two versions. There is the VFX version of a previs. So that's where you see like the flying and Iron Mans and all stuff like that. And then they give that to the stunt team, and the stunt team then does the live action part of it, where it's like the punches and kicks and throwing somebody wire gags and stuff like that. We try to fill in the gaps, right?
Okay.
So that's a previs, and the previs is used as like a blueprint or a proof of concept idea of what the scene is going to look like for the director to have something visually to
Mm-hmm.
pass out to every head of the department. So that way, the head of hair and makeup knows this character is wearing this, it has this wig on. The costume guys are like, well, he's going to need stretchy pants. The set deck is like, well, we need to make this part of the counter soft, and we have to make this breakaway, and so on and so forth. The lighting, that stuff comes into play later, but
Yeah.
it's really for the whole team to be on the same page about a particular scene, because
Mm-hmm.
everything else, like the acting, usually is just done on the spot. They rehearse it there and then they do it, right? They
Mm-hmm.
did readings and stuff like that, but actually being in the space and moving around it happens on the day. When it comes to the action, though, we might have like a week or two before for everybody to see what's going on.
Okay.
So we're shooting a previs for Jamie to see. The reason why they put the previs up, they had me shoot the previs, was because they shot the previs before, but with a white guy, and they're like, we can't show that to Jamie. And I was like, okay,
Like what?
cool, sure. I'll just come in, and they were like, you want like a day, we could run it and then you can shoot it. I was like, no, let's just shoot it right now. You already know what choreography beats you have, so let's do that. Now the thing that was a little off about this film for me was that I never got the script, and I was never given a breakdown of what the character is.
Oh, okay.
So I can only go off of what I saw. The other person that they had do the original previs, and I
Mm-hmm.
just did my thing. I'm knocking out the beats. I'm knocking out the choreography. I go. We get the video done. We go to Jamie Foxx. Jamie loves it. He's like, "Yo, this is amazing." I was like, "You want to follow me?" He's like, "I want to do it exactly how you're doing it. You just show me and teach me." I was like, "Cool, perfect." So he invites it. We're at his house. We're doing it for 2 days straight, and then we fly back. He comes out, and I'm pulled to the side, and they're like, "Hey, so like, I need you to do a little bit more in your performance." And I was like, "What do you mean? What's the performance?" He's like, "Well, I need you to move like this person." And I'm like, "Can you send me video footage of what that person looks like?" And they're like, "Yeah, yeah, we'll get you that soon, but you need to move like this person. You can't, like, you're moving too young." And they're like, "You're 50 years old." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not a 50-year-old guy, so like, I need a little bit of reference. Give me
Yeah.
something. Does he have
Yeah.
an injury that he's holding on to? What is the character?" So that way, then as a performer, I can try to imply that, or
Mm-hmm.
put that into my performance. And that's just like one of the instances that can happen when it comes to working on a film. Is you might not get all the information, and you just have to make do. And then when you actually meet the actor and his character, then you'll be flooded with all this information, and now you're able to add
Yeah.
that later on.
And you got to think
So
quickly. because you got the new information and it's like, okay,
Right.
ready?
Yeah, they want you. They're like, go, go,
Go.
go, go, and then of course on the day, like, wow, you did an amazing job today. You really pulled up. I'm like, you
I
guys
mean,
just
you
only gave me the
really have
information.
to,
Thank
yeah, I didn't
you.
have too many choices, but
Right.
but I say, but in all fairness, not everyone can do that.
Yeah.
In all fairness, and as an actor, you probably know this far more than I do because all of my audition experience comes from musical theater. But let's
Love it.
just, talk about film and television when you're going into these auditions and the directors or the casting directors are giving you notes right then,
Yeah.
and the expectation is to take in those notes and display them or present them right then. And
Oh
that's
man.
that's like you got to be able to pivot quickly because it's
Right.
happening on set as well, right?
It's
And
right.
in the audition you feel like, okay, well, I got to prove myself so I can get here, but it doesn't stop. Like once you get on set, there's still take after take. Here's your note.
Right.
All right, let's do it
You're like, all
again.
right, cool.
You know?
That was great, Guy. That was great. But I need for this, I need this to be a little. Can you give me one with a different emotion? Can I get like I get anger right now, but give me hurt. Give me the sadness. I need that sadness
Yeah.
part, and then you build up to it. And it's like, okay, all right, cool. I'll
Yeah.
emphasize more on that for that, and it's also just not taking it to heart. You know, like don't. I do my best to not feel bad if I don't nail it the first
Yeah.
time, but I'll make sure that nailing it the second time is what I'm going to go for. You know, the first
Right.
time I might not nail it. That's fine. No need to freak out. No need to panic because all you're going to do is just ruin all the experience. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and close yourself the opportunity to give them something that they never saw before. You know, because
Right.
that's their job is just to pull whatever it is that they're trying to pull out, and it might just be for one line. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they're editing around the whole thing, so it's
Mm-hmm.
like okay, like I'm throwing 8 beats of choreography at this guy, but they're only going to use 4 of that in this shot. You
And you
know,
don't know
so
which for.
yeah, exactly. You don't know. You don't. You really
Well,
don't.
people who are here now, if you have any questions, use that button at the bottom of your screen. It's a question inside of a dialogue button. And if you put your questions there, I will make sure to ask them while we're here. But as we start to go into our question and answer, I first just want to pull out something you said because when I asked you, I was like, well, what title do you want me to put on the flyer? I was like, is it stunt? Is it choreographers? Blah, blah. And you said stuntman, choreographer, actor. Now, of course, in my mind, I said, well, yeah, he acts and he's probably auditioning for acting, blah, blah, blah. But putting that part to the side, I don't think people really understand that stunt men and stunt women are actors, right?
Oh yeah.
Because if you are playing a role, you will get the note about emotion, and
Hmm.
that's all acting, right? So if
Right.
you just because you know how to do the flips and you know how to throw the weapons, etc., you still have to understand where the character is emotionally at that time, and you're portraying that just as much as the main actor is. So, can you
Absolutely.
talk about like where you learned that? Have you gone to acting school? Was that something that you learned in martial arts? Did you just kind of learn it doing the jobs and on
Hmm.
set? Where did you kind of get this background to really be able to emotionally connect to the characters and show us in the stunts?
Well, again, going back to like my mom and her
Mm-hmm.
influence, I was always in school plays. I was Michael in Matilda. I was her brother. I played the brother in Matilda. I was the apple picker in Annie. I was the king in The King and I. I was Walter Lee in Raisin in the Sun. Um, I always had an acting foundation. I just
Okay.
happened to not want to do it at the
Yeah.
time because I was so caught up on the idea of wanting to be Bruce Lee, wanting to be Jackie Chan, that I didn't realize at that young, naive age that, oh, like I am doing the stuff that I'm supposed to be doing and I should probably pursue it a little bit more. But I was focused so much on the physical aspect of
Yeah.
martial arts
That
that
you
I
missed
had,
that Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan are actors.
yeah, right. I missed it. I
You're
missed
like,
it completely. It just went right over my head. I was like, what, right? As I'm 18, I'm like this. Uh, like I had all this time to build up that part of my career or
yeah.
build up more of that muscle. But yeah, I mean the the stunt performers is an actor. The only thing that makes us different, I guess, in a sense, is that we work on both sides of camera. The
Mm,
performer is both a part of the crew, but they're also casted,
mm,
right? And
mm-hmm.
I've been fortunate enough that I have a decent look that the directors like, and I end up being put in these positions where you're going to see my face, and therefore I do have to emote or do some sort of acting. Now, do I get the recognition of like uh, it, Chris Hemsworth or Robert Downey Jr.? No, I don't get any. They're not trying to give me any of that. They just want me to, you stand here, look like a guard, look menacing, and then get your ass beat. And you have to. I tell all my friends or anybody that ever asks me, how do you get into stunts? I'm like, look, the only thing you really need to know how to do is throw a punch without hurting anybody,
Mm-hmm.
look like you've taken a hit either to the stomach or the face, and then know how to fall on the ground safely,
Yeah.
but make it look like it's bad. If you know that in between, the after the punch is either blocked or missed, that's where the acting is.
Mm-hmm.
It's you're off balance. You threw everything you had behind the punch, or you're caught off by how strong that person is. It's filling in those gaps, right? And that's what makes
Yeah.
great screen fighters compared to regular stunt guys. And I think it's evolved so much thanks to YouTube because
Yeah.
we're constantly able to practice in front of camera and see what we look like in front of
Ah.
camera.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think your your screen fighters, which I deem myself to be more of a screen fighter than anything, even though
Mm-hmm.
I'm forced to do other stunts, I am a screen fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we we tend to be more on the acting side. I think a lot of my very close friends who are screen fighters can all act and have training. I've done UCB. I've been to Spicer and Sturgis for multiple years. I've trained with Mariska out of New York. I've gone to Identity. I've constantly found a way to keep practicing and
Yeah.
keep working and keep
Yeah.
making my craft better because I feel that the better I am and the stronger my acting tool is, the better my screen fighting will look. Because I
Absolutely.
have to play hurt. I have to play the grunt, play the energy without actually giving all of that
Right.
energy.
And tonally, right? Because
Right.
depending upon the film, it's supposed to look cheesy, right? Depending upon the film, it's a little more cartoony,
Right.
whatever those reactions are. And then there are other films where it's like, no, this is grounded. This is a grounded film.
Yep.
This needs to feel real. And you have to be able to, play within both of those spaces.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's look. So we have um, a couple of questions here. And remember, if you want to ask a question, use the question box at the bottom. Who's the most talented actor or actress when it comes to stunts? And who's your favorite stunt performer and why?
Ooh. Okay. So the stunt performer that I looked up to the most was Clay Fontenot. Clay Fontenot was the stunt double for Wesley Snipes in Blade and
Mm.
all that stuff. He's like bow down to him. He's amazing. Uh, Put in the Wayne's World Garth. We are not worthy. Uh, then I want to
Someone in the comments
say.
said, don't get this wrong. He's probably somebody you know.
I want to say. Be quiet, Justin. Um, I'm gonna just go with it's a toss up between Scarlett Johansson and Chris Evans.
Mm.
Chris Evans has a dance background.
Okay.
Uh, he used to be a tap dancer, and
Wow.
so he understands rhythm,
Yeah.
which is amazing, right? And he's able to again take the rhythm and the timing that you get from tap dancing into learning choreography.
Yes.
So watching him just come in one day and to just pick up the whole fight for the elevator scene was like awe-inspiring. But then when you
Yeah.
see the hard work that Scarlett Johansson does, you're like, wow, it's the other
Yeah.
side of it. This
Yeah.
woman she just had a kid. She's probably nursing this child and she's still coming in every day and kicking ass,
Yeah.
beating up a few guys and calling it a day.
Yeah. I don't think people realize that it's called choreography because it's still music. It's still
It's
dancing.
it's still eight beats. We still work
Yeah,
on eights.
it still counts.
Yep,
You know what
still
I mean?
counts.
Yeah, and people don't look at it that way. They're just thinking, "Oh, okay, punch, punch, punch." But it's like, no, there's timing to the punch.
Yeah,
You know,
I tell a lot of my other friends that have like kind of gotten to a point where they understand how to throw a punch, get hit in the face, and then hit the ground. Like, all right, so you want to be the guy, you want to be the girl, then go take dance classes. And they're like, why? I'm like, you need to be able to pick up choreography within 45 minutes and then be able to perform it.
hmm
And if you can do that, you got 8 hours
And that's all
a
dance
day
class
on
is.
set.
That's
That's
all
all
dance
it
class
is.
is.
It's
You
just working
learn,
that
you do.
muscle
You
over and over
learn,
again.
you do. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what people need. You got to be able to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah. And every single dance class, it's new choreography. So for those people who don't go to dance class, you will do more of your training stuff at the top of dance class, right? You always have to work on whatever it depends upon what style it is,
Right.
right? But you're gonna do like your basic training stuff, going across the floor, whatever, whatever. After that, choreographer's gonna go to the front and they are going to teach choreography. And they're not gonna teach it slowly and they're not gonna teach it 3, 4 times. They're gonna
Nope.
teach it and they're gonna move through and then they're gonna call you to the floor to dance.
You
And
got
so
to
it
do
that muscle
it.
is really, really, you're really working that muscle of retention, which I don't have anymore. You know, like I used to be one of those people, I didn't even have to be standing up.
Yeah.
I could just watch you do it and then I can do it. Now,
Yeah.
I can't remember nothing. I'm like, I don't know. I know you just did something with your right foot, but my left foot is moving. I don't know. I've
Right.
lost
That's that
lost that.
muscle. That's that
Yeah.
imitation muscle. You can get it back. You just
Yeah.
got to want to do
Okay,
it.
let's see. I know, but I would have to again. I gotta be doing it every day, and instead, I'm sitting here at this desk with all these screens. I have 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 screens. This is what I'm
I
doing all day.
bet you could break down the script and know how to sell it in a heartbeat, though.
Absolutely, because that's what I'm doing.
Yep.
Okay, let's see. Are there any stunts you really want to perform that you haven't already?
Nope. I'm retired. I'm done.
I know
I've
that's
done
right.
everything I wanted to do. Everything else I will do that's stunt wise or stunt heavy will be in the veil of being an actor, not a stunt man.
Okay. All right. All right. Next question. How did the Vince Staples magic video come to happen? What relationships have stunts gotten you that allow you to do other things in different fields?
Oh man, so like whenever they decide that they want to do like a little fight thing or something like that, in a music video, they call a stunt coordinator up. Like most forms of the business when it comes to entertainment, they'll hire
Mhm.
like somebody to do that. Luckily, one of my best friends who lives literally 25 steps away from me, Travis was called to coordinate. He does a whole bunch of music videos, but he's working on a couple movies right now. He was like, "Hey, I got a Vince Staples movie, music video for you to do, if you're available." And I was like, I love Vince. Like I like his music. I like his message. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. And it's just funny how, like, again, there you can bring up Corridor Digital. Just the fact that I've been seen on Corridor Digital so many times, it's interesting to see what people gravitate towards me and now refer to me for something. Like I'm
Yeah.
deemed now some sort of, you know, martial arts film stunt prophet in a
Yeah.
sense. They're like, oh
Yeah.
wow, yeah, I know you from like. Let's talk about this. We should talk about this. I'm like,
Yeah.
sure, we can
Yeah.
talk about it.
And
I love
social
it.
media helps with that because, again, for me, I knew this is what you did, but it
Right?
isn't until you start seeing all of these interviews that can put the clips right there and hear you
Yeah.
talking about it that you're like, oh, no, wait, he does this. It's like, but you don't know. And so
Right.
it gives you this thought leadership,
Hmm.
right? It puts you in this position of expertise. And all of us are trying to get to the place where we're referred, right? All of us
Right.
are trying to get to the place where, like, for example, when it comes to musical theater, right? Like I sing, I dance, I act, but I'm not standing in not one person's line to audition. At this point, you know what I do, right?
Right.
You want me to do it, you'll call me.
Exactly. And I'll give you all the things that come with hiring me, and because you know exactly what you're getting, and that's the brand.
And that's the brand. So we all want to be there. So that's again that whole thing of networking across because now you have friends who are the coordinators who are making the
Yep.
calls, and all you have to do is be a decent person.
Yeah.
you know?
This industry is so much more about relationships than anything else.
Yeah,
It's all about
absolutely.
relationships.
Okay, let's see. What's the big what's a big lesson in acting that you remember learning on set?
One of the big all right. So this is actually, I'm not going to say it was the biggest, but this is something that I learned not too long ago. I was on the set for The Accountant 2, which is Ben Affleck and John Bernthal. And I'm a big fan of John Bernthal. Like, he's one of my heroes. One of the actors I aspire to be as intense and as driven and have, like, he's just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
He and Ben were doing a scene, and they're in the middle of a gunfight, and they have to do this interaction between brothers. And I remember they said cut, and Bernthal was like fuck, and he was kind of annoyed. And him and Ben were talking. He's like, and Ben was like, "Hey man, like, don't worry about not hit. Like, you don't have to hit everything, because they're gonna cut it up. They're gonna cut it up." And he was like, "There's actors out there that will burn a whole take for one line, and I'm laying down as a dead body, just like listening." And during we broke, and they were doing a turnaround, and Ben's just hanging out by craft. And I was like, "Hey Ben, can I ask you a question?" He was like, "Yeah, sure." I was like, "You were talking to John, and you said like, oh, like some actors that like they'll burn a whole take just for one line. What does that mean?" And he said, "Well, like for instance, say I have a line where I have to be really angry and I have to have all that energy, right? It might be weird for me to start low and then ramp up to it. So I might do the whole take a little bit higher than I naturally would, and so that way the blow up is a lot smoother, because I know that they're going to use this part of this scene or this part of this dialogue at this moment. So I'm dictating how much energy is used at that time." And it just made me think more so like, that's right. This is not
Yeah.
theater. This is this
Yeah. It's
is
not the end
film.
all be all.
It's not
They're
the
gonna
end all
do
be all
15 takes and you're gonna get a mashup.
of the performances of each take. At sometimes, like, I have
Yeah.
it's funny too, because like I should have known this from shooting videos with Vlad on YouTube, right? So this guy named Vlad Rimberg, he's an amazing fight coordinator, stunt coordinator, upcoming action director. He's worked on a lot of movies in Bollywood. He's done the action design for Lucifer, Penny Dreadful. He's super talented. We started off on YouTube, and he would make me do a stunt fall or a kick like 15 times, and then would use the first fucking take. So fuck him. But I love him at the same time. Love you, Vlad.
Okay, this will be our last question, and then we'll go into some wrap ups. Let's see. Have you ever worked in horror?
Yeah.
Is it any different from the action and superhero genre?
Yes. I did. I worked on The Purge as a stunt double. I forgot which Purge it was. I think it was like the first Purge. Um, I mean, it's just less. It's not as over the top as the action movies are. The
Hmm.
action is very straightforward and to the point, and leads to something gruesome or some sort of death in a sense. Whereas like when it comes to the superhero franchises, they don't ever really show the deaths. They just show like the impact and the guy flies away.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I've worked on. I'm actually a lead actor in a series on BET Plus called Paradise.
Mm.
It's a horror film series. There's going to be four of them coming out. Well, three of them plus another one which is under a different title.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been in the horror game. I like horror because you don't need a big name to make it happen. You just need a good story
Mm-hmm.
to an extent. And luckily, like the fan base of horror films is like they'll watch every horror movie. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
good, but they'll check it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think that that makes it a very lucrative business in a sense.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of first comers in the in the film world, writers, directors, actors, a lot of them come straight from the horror world
Hmm.
first.
Yeah. So I lied. There was one more question in here, and it is I think this is a great way to close. What is your favorite stunt scene that you've done?
I hate watching myself. One of the coolest things ever was doing the splash panel section of Civil War. So a splash
Okay.
panel is a comic book term. is when you open up that comic book in the middle and it has
Hmm.
the artwork that goes across both the
Hmm.
pages. It's usually like a big battle between all the heroes or villains.
Hmm.
Our splash panel was, of course, at the airport scene where all the heroes charge each other.
Yeah.
Team Cap, Team Iron Man charge each other, and I just
Hmm.
remember I had to like shoulder tackle James. Sorry, James. James Young was the Winter Soldier double for that sequence. He's the original Winter Soldier double, and he's also the fight coordinator. Now he's a second director for the Russo brothers. He's going to be a director in the coming months of a film. And I just remember having to shoulder tackle him like 7 times. And it was a lot of fun just because it was like all this, like it's a kid dream. It's like
Yeah.
we're all dressed up in these costumes, and to my left is Spider-Man, and straight ahead of me, across from me is Captain America, and Falcon's up in the air. It was just like, oh, this is dope.
Yeah.
It's so dope.
It's
So
an
that
epic
was,
moment.
yeah, for sure. When it comes to like choreography, though, like favorite choreography sections is anything that I've done on YouTube. I would say UALA, My Hero Academia live action short was really fun. I choreographed
Hmm.
that with the help of the team and under the great supervision of one of the greatest action designers of our generation, Chris Cowan. You've
Hmm.
seen his work in Acolyte. You've seen his work in the Han Solo movie. You've seen his work in the was it oh, why can't I think of the name right now? Help me, Justin.
Go put
Justin,
it in.
what's
I know somebody's gonna help you.
with the suits? The guys that make the manners maketh the man.
The
Why can't I think?
Kingsmen.
The Kingsman. Yep, the Kingsman.
Yeah.
Him working on the Kingsman 2 and the Kingsman. Uh, yeah, like that. All that stuff is just like it's so much fun because it's so freeing, and we get to just really create and really sit there and make something that we think everybody's gonna watch.
Well, it's so great to hear you geek out about it, right?
Yeah,
Like you're naming
I'll
all
be
these
nervous.
people that I don't know, but I know they mean something, you know? You're like this person and this person and this thing. And it's just so great because, when you are passionate about something, it's that much more satisfying, you know what I mean? Being in it, like you know the people who are making waves in the
Yeah,
part of the industry that you want to make waves in. You know what I'm saying? And that's just so cool to see you be excited about it because so many people go to work or have careers or are doing things that they don't have it, they're not excited about.
right,
And the great thing about being able to make movies, not that everyone is happy. This is Hollywood.
right.
But one of the great things about being able to make movies is that most of us are really just on a playground, kind of
Yeah.
all day. So tell us what you have coming up or what we should be looking out for. Tell us where we can find you and then leave us with advice.
Okay. So right now, you guys can be looking out for Paradise, the series. It's on BT Plus. That's where you'll see a little bit more of my acting, producing side. Uh, it's a start. It's fun. Just enjoy the ride, I guess, in a
Yeah.
sense. Um, the next thing that I would say, look out for. There's more quarter digital stuff on the way. Go on quarter digital on their YouTube channel. I'll pop up every month or so.
Okay.
Um, you can find me on here on Instagram at Gui Da Silva-Greene. And a little word of advice: you never lose unless you stop.
Yes.
So as long as it's just like stocks in this world, in this is if you don't quit, you didn't lose. You're just going through the ebbs and flows of what it means to be a part of something,
Yeah.
or be after something.
That's literally the only reason some people make it and some don't.
Right.
Is that you
That,
stopped in this industry,
and it's
right? It like
funny because like you
until
hear
you understand it's
every
long
actor
game.
say
Yeah.
that. You hear
Yeah.
every actor say that. Every director say that. Man, this guy was so talented, and I'm here now. You're talking to me, but this guy was so talented and he stopped.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right. So as long as I don't stop,
When you don't stop,
and
it's gonna go somewhere. It might not go where you thought it was gonna go,
but
but
it's
it's
going
gonna go
somewhere,
somewhere. You know what I'm
right?
saying? Which is why again, kind of the theme of what we've been talking about is thinking about all of the skills that you bring to the table that might not necessarily be in the same lane that you've told yourself you have to be in. You're on set with Scarlett Johansson, not
Right.
because you went the route of, oh, I got to audition and I got to be in acting class and I got to blah, blah,
No.
blah. It's because you had this other skill set that made you unique
Yep.
and you leaned in. Like, let me lean in.
Michael Jackson leaned that thing. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And then it gets you to a place where you can have the conversations with the people. And now you're doing a series where you're producing and you're acting. You know what I mean? And it's, one of the first times you're going to be doing it, but then that's going to go to the next place and the next place. Like you're making all of those connections by being in a place where if you only, you didn't come to LA and going, I'm just going to act. So your story's a little different. But for other people who have come to LA going, this is the thing.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, be open,
Right.
be open.
Because
You
all
never
the
know where it's
blessings,
going to take
you never like it. There's side missions all the time, and side missions will get you that special tool that you need. Like you got to go off and go over there real quick, and down over there you'll get that mystic sword that you need that actually will make it easier to slay that dragon that you're actually really going
you.
after.
Absolutely.
And that's just kind of how I've always looked at it. It was like, well, these side missions are just me obtaining tools later pull from.
Right, right. Well, before we close out, I have to do my spiel because,
Uh,
I'm going to clip this into other videos. Shannon E. Johnson here, CEO of The Professional Pen, where we develop screenwriters from I did a pitch. Need help in your screenplay? Go to www.theprofessionalpen.com. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for
I
having
really
me.
appreciate the time. Of course. Of
Hell
course. And
yeah.
I'm going to keep my eye out because, of course, I follow you and I'm, watching.
I'll
So
keep posting. It's not me that's making these amazing posts, thank God, because I'm the one who doesn't like doing that kind of stuff, which is why it's now
why it's
pumping out
now,
because I have somebody
because
that's good at it.
I'm like, I haven't been seeing this before.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
this is
like,
all like
yeah.
I'm like these interviews are like 3 years old,
Doesn't
4 years old, but it's cool.
matter. It's new to us.
Yep, I'll
It's
keep
new
doing
to
them.
us. Yes, please. Thank you so much and have a good rest of your night. Bye
You
bye,
too.
everybody.
Peace, everyone.